Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Women in Sectional Titles webinar. I hope that everybody is well, and I hope that it's really fantastic that you've all joined us. As we embrace the spring season, it's important for us to talk about growth and renewal. And that's why I think it's apt for today that we have on board Acting Chief Ombud, Kedibone Phetla, who's going to be chatting to us about the growth and renewal of the Community Scheme Ombud Service. And I think it's great to also take time to pause to see where the Community Scheme Service came from, where it's going. We all have our issues with the Ombud Service. We all have our challenges, but out of challenge comes opportunity. And I think it's very important that we also support the Community Scheme Ombud Service as well. Really, really important. So before we start, I'd like to thank our valued sponsors, ZFIN, We Connect You, Sectional Title Solutions, and PKF Octagon. Taking the opportunity now also to thank PKF Octagon for hosting me at the Voices of Vision seminar that was held now during Women's Month. It was great to talk to the vibrant ladies on the panel that were at PKF Octagon, and again to network. Very important to network. I really, really believe that. There's a book that's just come out for anybody who's interested in the networking process, and perhaps you haven't got the personality to go out there, or you're worried or concerned about the fact that you're an introvert. It's a book by Helen Nicholson, and it's called Networking for Introverts. It's at Exclusive Books at the moment. We're going to try and get Helen on board at one of our webinars as well going forward towards the end of the year. But let's start. Kedi, are you on board? If you can just say hello. It's Kedibone Phetla, who's the Acting Chief Ombud. I think Kedi actually.
Yes, good morning,
oh, you yeah.
Yeah. So you stopped my camera, so if you open it.
Okay, then we'll do that. We'll do that. Thank you. Lovely to have you on board, and welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Great. Marianne, the author is Helen Nicholson of the book Networking for Introverts. Right. So, Kedi, we met a while ago, but I would love for you to tell everybody about how you got to the Community Scheme Service, your background. Tell us about how you got into this fabulous position as well, because your face is familiar to many people.
Thank you very much, Marina, and good morning to all the people who have joined the webinar today. My name is Kedibone Phetla, as you've already indicated. I'm currently the Acting Chief Ombud of the CSOS. My position here at CSOS is an executive for strategy and organizational performance. I've started working in 2005 in the strategy unit in the Department of Home Affairs. That's where I fell in love with the strategic planning as well as monitoring of performance. And I've since worked with about 5 national departments. And as I was working with the Department of Communications, that's where I was actually exposed to analyze the corporate plans of the public entities. And that's where I realized the gap that was existing in the public entities in terms of corporate planning and monitoring performance. And then I've decided that I need to leave the national department and go and now work with entities. Then I joined SHRA. SHRA is one of the human settlement entities. It's a social housing regulatory authority. As I joined SHRA, I was sitting in a portfolio committee meeting where CSOS was presenting, and the presentation of the annual report was not looking quite good. And even the audit findings were very bad when I attended that portfolio committee meeting in Parliament. Then I actually identified that I can go there and make a difference. And I did apply to come to CSOS as a manager of governance, a manager of strategy and performance. I then joined CSOS, and since I fell in love with the strategy and monitoring of performance, because that's where you get to see how government can make an impact and make a difference in the lives of ordinary people if they do proper planning, and if they monitor their performance and they actually support that performance with evidence. So that's how I joined CSOS, and I'm now the Acting Chief Ombud of the entity. I've been appointed by the board to actually assist them while they are finalizing the recruitment process to appoint a permanent ombud. And I can say I've joined CSOS when they were about 45% performance. Now we are rating around 83% in terms of our performance. So I am really seeing the reason why I moved to entities. I'm enjoying seeing the impact that we can see in the lives of ordinary people. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, Katie. So the Community Scheme Ombud Service was established in 2016. I remember walking through the offices of the Ombud and going to find the Chief Ombud, who was then sitting in a little office right at the back with nobody there. There was really, it was so new. How's it going with the registrations of the community schemes? Registrations, where are we with that? I mean, you have your quarterly reviews and I know for a fact, because I sat on the board of the CSOS, that you do look at all these figures all the time. Where are we in your view?
Okay, in 2021, we actually did a survey that confirmed that in the whole country, we have a total of 70,000 community schemes that we need to regulate. And by that time, I think on our database, we're having around 30,000 schemes registered with us. At the moment, we are having about 36,000 schemes registered with us, meaning there's still a big number of over 30,000 schemes that we really need to still register. And we actually now on a call out to all the schemes to ensure that they're registered with us so that they can comply. It leaves us in a very difficult position if we now must regulate people that we don't know. We can't regulate the schemes if they're not registered with us. So currently, it's not going quite well with registration of schemes. As I'm saying, there's about over 30,000 schemes that we still need to bring to our books. As per the survey that was done, saying that there are about 70,000 schemes, but we are doing a number of initiatives. We have an awareness campaigns that is running on social media, as well as the big activities in the country that we are attending to. We took part in the Comrade Marathon, also going to take part in the Amashova, where we are showcasing CSOS. We are bringing ourselves to the stakeholders. We're actually raising the flag of CSOS so that they can know that they need to comply with us. And we also have a project that is coming, Marina, if I can just share with your listeners. We've got a verification and validation project coming, where it will be some sort of a census of community schemes, where we'll have people on the ground confirming and validating the existence of all the schemes. That's how we'll pick up all those that are not registered with us, and then we will be registering them. And the registration process has become quite easy now, because we have CSOS Connect that allows people to register from the comfort of their home. And if they have any issues with the CSOS Connect, they can actually even lodge a complaint or lodge an inquiry or a query on the CSOS Connect itself. So it's not going quite well, but we are comforted by the fact that on a monthly and on a quarterly basis, we are receiving schemes that are registering with us. For the past financial year, from March 2023 and April 2023 until March 2024, we had a total of 2,000 schemes new schemes that were registered with us. And then for the year to date, we've got just about 1,000 from April until now in August, just about 1,000 new schemes that have registered with us. So it's not going well, but we are happy and we are comfortable that we will eventually register. Hopefully before CSOS turns 10 years old, we would have every scheme in our database.
That would be really good. I was thinking about something that we chatted about at board level, and that is getting the deeds office involved in these registrations. So in other words, almost not allowing a transfer to go through if that scheme wasn't registered, because that's one way of, I suppose, capturing the market. Has anything progressed on that front?
Yes, definitely. And we thank the board of that time, your councils, that you have opened that journey for us, and then you've closed it for us. We have an MOU with the deeds. Fortunately, now all the schemes that we're saying they're not on our database are schemes that were existing before CSOS. Any scheme that has been developed now going forward that goes through the deeds, they don't issue them anything until they come and get a Section 10 certificate from us. So all the new schemes that are being developed, all those are registered with us because of that MOU that we have with the deeds.
Good. And then also inspectors. There was talk about inspectors. You know, it's all about enforcement at the end of the day. These schemes can, you know, sometimes I've heard trustees saying, oh, well, you know, we're not compliant, but they're not doing anything about it, so it's fine. Are inspectors being deployed, or there was talk of that at one stage? And what if they are, what do they do?
Yes, we have launched a year ago our enforcement and compliance unit. You are correct that we've been talking about them. At the CSOS, we call them the compliance and enforcement investigators. We have capacitated all the regional offices. They all have investigators currently, and they are monitoring the compliance of the schemes. We take the database that we have. So I mean, the first instance of non-compliance is that you're not registered with CSOS. So even those that are not registered with CSOS and we are aware of them, we issue to them a non-compliance notice. We issue it the first notice, the second notice, the third notice. That's when we will institute legal proceedings. And we're also monitoring the compliance. If you are a sectional title, you need to be submitting your rules, your scheme conduct rules and your management rules to us. And if you don't submit your rules, we send you again a non-compliance notice. The other area of compliance that we're looking at, you need to submit your annual returns to us 4 months after your financial year has ended as a scheme. We don't prescribe a financial year, but depending on your financial year as a scheme, you need to submit to us the annual returns. If you don't submit, we send you also a non-compliance notices. And our investigators currently, they're able to go out and investigate the dispute. Maybe there's a dispute between a scheme and owner and a trustee, or owner and a body corporate, where they're talking about gardening or just the upkeep of the scheme. The adjudicator is able to request the investigator to go and investigate, so that they can be able to have more evidence that will allow them to give a fair adjudication order. So we have them. We have recently capacitated. It's a new unit, but you can see that they are working, because in the previous financial year, we measured our compliance rate in terms of the schemes that are registered with us, of the scheme that submitted their rules, of the scheme that submitted their annual returns, and then we achieved a performance rate of 70% compliance of the schemes that are registered with us. So you can see it's a new unit, but it's working very hard. And we're also in contact with IRBA in terms of auditing of the annual returns of schemes that are required to audit their annual returns. So we also doing a call out again to the schemes to say we have investigators that are on the ground that can and will come to the scheme if needs be, for them to monitor compliance and compile a report. Thanks.
Thank you. Bev asked, we're going back to the registration of schemes. Bev asked, what about an MOU with the banks? And I assume that's when people obtain bonds. You know, they shouldn't be allowed to get a bond in a scheme which isn't registered. That could also be something to look at.
Yes, yes. You'd remember, Marinda, when we were doing the roundtable on transformation, we actually did indicate that we will be engaging the banks. We have actually a meeting scheduled with BASA, where we will engage the governing body of the banks, and then we will then identify each and every bank that we need to an MOU with. But we want to start by engaging the banking association, so that we will be able to engage the banks themselves after we've engaged BASA. So that's a good one. Thank you very much. But we are looking into it. Other initiatives that we are doing in terms of compliance and registration, we have signed an MOU also with PPRA for their estate agent. When they sell these houses to the owners, they will be giving the owners a compliance framework from CSOS to say, you are now buying into a scheme. You need to understand what you're buying into. You need to understand your rights and your obligations. And if you feel that your rights are being threatened, this is what you do. If you also don't pay levies, this is what the body corporate or the trustees will do in terms of making sure that they get all their levies. So we're looking at all the avenues that will ensure that we have the full, complete universe of the database within the CSOS.
And when we're talking about the reserve fund, I'd like to just bring that up. I have seen the questions. I will ask your questions. I'll pose them to Kedi. But when we're talking about the reserve fund, are schemes complying with the responsibility to have a separate reserve fund?
Not all of them. And as I said, the compliance rate is sitting at 70%. But when we say a scheme is compliant, it means it has a reserve fund.
Okay.
So, and that is in terms of Section 59A and B of the CSOS Act, that says you need to pay the levies, you need to submit your levy schedule, you need to submit your annual returns. So not all of them are compliant, and you can see it in the dispute where now the trustees or the body corporate must now increase, make a special levy because the reserve fund was not kept or the reserve fund was not there. Now they must, every year it must be putting a special levy, and now under this economic situation that people were living at unemployment rate, a whole lot of stabilities that we have in the country. Now you must raise special levies because the reserve fund that was supposed to be funding all these things that we need, maybe the security. It can be something very important for a scheme. But now, if you don't have a reserve fund, you need to go back to the very same passes of the owners that are having limited funds. So that's one thing that we're also monitoring together with the insurance. We had an instance in I think it was in Bela or in RTBS, where a scheme went out, the whole scheme, all the houses went, and one house there was costing over $1 million, and now the insurance, the value of the insurance was 7 million. And now the houses, each house must be reimbursed to the value of the house, but then the insurance value that the scheme took is way less than what they need to be paying. So in our monitoring of compliance, we're having quite a number of compliance items that we need to monitor, and we are doing that. Gradually, we will be able to monitor the whole list that a scheme is expected to do, but those that are critical ones, the insurance, the reserve fund, registration, the schemes, annual returns, we are already monitoring that.
Before we go into the nitty-gritty of timelines and adjudication orders and that kind of thing, Sue's posed quite a good question about trustee training and getting these trustees on board with understanding what they've got to get to grips with and their responsibilities at the scheme. Overseas, within 30 or 60 days of becoming a trustee, trustees have to go through training. If they don't, they automatically get dropped off the committee. CSOS got any compulsory training for trustees on the horizon?
We have training. For the year, we're targeting to do about 30 training sessions. That's what we're targeting, but we always do more than that. And we wouldn't know, in terms of our training, we train the owners, the executives of the scheme, those are your trustees, your body corporates, your board of your HOAs. We open up our training to everyone. But we have since made an announcement that a scheme must and can invite us to come and train them at their scheme. They don't have to wait for us to issue a date to come to bring them to a certain venue. They can send a request to us to come and train their trustees. We are not yet at that level of saying between this and this, if you're not trained, you will be dropped off, because remember, the only time we get to know that they're new trustees is when the scheme informs us. But it could be, they could be informing us 100 days after the trustees have started. Some don't even tell us when they change their trustees. So those are the areas that we still are a bit grayish on our part. But remember, we'll be amending the CSOS Act and the STSMA. So those are the kind of inputs that we will definitely be requiring from the sector, especially people that are on the ground, especially people that are experiencing this on a daily basis, to say, what is that we need to put in our act? Because some of the things we cannot do because they're not within our act. But as soon as we put all this important aspect that will make our schemes live inclusive, promote inclusivity, and also promote harmonious living, we will definitely be including those as part of the amendments of the Act.
Maybe I think for sure what needs to happen is compulsory training, because the training offered at the moment is just voluntary. So it's trustees wanting to come and just being quite robust and responsible. But I think it should be compulsory for what it's worth. On my side. Okay, so we've heard over the last couple of months, because we're obviously in the industry. I'm an attorney in the industry, and we hear all the good, bad, and the ugly. So the bad news first in terms of our current challenges at CSOS is that there is a backlog from an adjudication point of view. What, in your view, has caused this surge in disputes, and where are we with the backlog?
Yes, we do. We want to first acknowledge that we do have backlog in terms of our dispute resolution, and we issued a statement in that regard that explained that we do have backlog and why we have backlog. So we have backlog because, number one, the court has pronounced that CSOS is the court of first instance for all. The court has been retaining matters that were supposed to go to CSOS that were taken to court. So everything is being redirected at CSOS, rightfully so, because apparently we had on the media, I think a judge in Gauteng saying that if you want a court case now, you'll get a date in 2029. That's how big the court cases are. So number one, that is something that we have experienced. All the cases are coming to us, and the CSOS Act allows us to appoint part-time adjudicators. So we had a panel of part-time adjudicators, about 50. Unfortunately, the panel expired, and after the panel has expired, the Auditor General of South Africa actually gave us a finding to say the way they were appointed, it was not properly. So we appointed them in terms of the normal HR processes of them being like CSOS temps, but then we had to now advertise it as a tender process, a supply chain process. So that's changing from the HR process to the ACM process took us quite a while, hence we delayed in terms of appointing that panel of adjudicators, but we have since appointed the panel of adjudicators. We issued out an advert somewhere in December. We did get applications. We appointed 16 of those adjudicators. We realized that 16 is not enough because we've got the backlog, and we need to meet our timeframes of ensuring that we finish our dispute within 90 days. We have since also now advertised a supplementary tender for appointing additional part-time adjudicators, where we'll be appointing a total of 34 part-time adjudicators to make it a total of 50 part-time adjudicators that we need to look at that. So, and the other thing that led us to be having a backlog is that in the 22-23 financial year, we received just about over 11,000 dispute. But now in the past financial year 23-24, we have received over 15,000 disputes. So the exposure of us going out and training more people and raising the awareness on CSOS is now bringing the need of people to come and realize that we can get assisted there. So we're receiving more cases than we used to receive in the past, and then we don't have a panel. So that's the reason why we are here. But I want to also put the listeners at ease to say we are putting all the efforts in place to manage the backlog. For yesterday, we had our expo session where we got a report that 74% of the backlog has been eradicated. So it's just a little bit of it that must be eradicated so that we can now start working on the new cases that are coming in. But we would just want to request for patience. And if anyone needs to check where their disputes are, they can contact our offices. Also beef up our call center so that they can give people information, timeous information. If they can't get hold of our call center, they are more than welcome to send an email to myself. Marina, you can share with them my email address. I don't mind that. The call center can also even give them my cell phone number. We will be just telling them where their cases are and what is the plan going forward. So we're just asking for patience for now while we eradicate the backlog, and then we will just be back again to process this dispute as we've been processing for the previous financial years.
Quite a few questions coming up regarding the adjudicators. Why are there not more full-time or permanent adjudicators? How many permanent adjudicators do you have at the CSOS?
We have 3 regional offices. We have 4 permanent adjudicators in each office. Though currently one resigned, relocating to another country, the other one resigned, got an opportunity somewhere else. We have vacancies of 2. We have vacancies of 3, 2 in Gauteng and 1 in KZN. But we do have permanent adjudicators that are also running with the cases internally. But the CSOS Act allows us to add on that, have a panel part-time adjudicators because we want to move and resolve the dispute timeously.
Eddie, what is the current requirement to be, or requirements to be, an adjudicator?
The advert was out. I don't want to give wrong information, but you need to be obviously a lawyer or an advocate, and you need to be aware of conflict resolution methodologies and mechanisms. You need to have had experience in terms of dispute resolution, because part of the requirement there was that you need to give us a methodology of how you will run it, an adjudication process. What kind of method are you going to use for you to adjudicate that particular matter? So, but definitely, first thing first, you need to be a lawyer. You can be a lawyer, an attorney, or an advocate, and you need to be aware of the CSOS Act, the SMA, and all the other pieces of legislation that are related to property management.
Sectional title knowledge, is that important, or is that learned?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
good. That's a good thing to hear. I've met a lot of attorneys who know nothing about sectional title, so that can be a concern. Okay.
And you know, in terms of our APP, just to add on the experience of the sectional titles, we do train our adjudicators on a quarterly basis. Best practices, peer review mechanisms, and any development that is happening in the sectional title area, the HOAs, or any other scheme in the country, we do on a quarterly basis take them to training so that they need to be always updated. And if yourself, you also want to share something with our adjudicators, we can clearly arrange any expert in the sector to just come and share a few insights with our adjudicators, because that's what we're looking for.
Oh, that's excellent to hear. Thank you so much. I think they should all be singing off the same song sheet as well when they're making their awards, you know, so that we get a little bit more consistency in the industry. 15,000 applications for disputes. Are people just getting crankier over the years, or what is the cause of all these disputes? What are the most disputes made up of?
Yeah, it's a lot of dispute that we are receiving from, you know, the CSOS Act gives you a list. There's behavioral, there's financial, but what we have established is that majority of the dispute that we are receiving are financial related. So as I said, in 2024 financial year, we received 15,584 disputes, and 9,742 of them were financially related disputes. So you can see that 62% of the disputes that we have received were on financial matters. And we understand this could be because of as I said, the economic climate, as well as the unemployment rate, and any other thing that may come, but they do dominate our dispute, unfortunately.
Arrear levies have become a huge issue. We deal with a collection in the courts of levies, and the way the court system works is really, it's an uphill battle to try get judgments, warrants of execution. Sheriffs don't reply to you. It's a complete nightmare. So perhaps something the CSOS needs to look at is something specifically tailor-made for arrear levies. October seems to be an exciting year. There's an exciting month. There's something coming up with the CSOS Connect. Kedi, can you elaborate?
Our CSOS Connect, just to share a bit of background with your listeners, we have a business automation system that we are currently developing. It started with it has about 5 modules in it. So we started with the registration module, where it went live in 2022 with our registration module. So schemes are now able to register themselves online, change their particulars of their trustees, and upload any other document that they need to upload for us. So what is coming in October is very exciting for us also, Marina, I must add, because it's the module that will go live is the dispute model, where it will actually limit the time that we're taking to resolve dispute to a bit shorter, because now there's no human intervention. You submit your dispute, you get feedback agently in terms of this is your reference number and this is where you are. So you'll be getting continuous updates in terms of where your dispute is. And obviously, because, you know, sometimes when there's a human interference, it can take time, but with the systems, you know that we know whenever you have a system, you know that you're getting efficiency in terms of service delivery. The other module that will be coming up is the module of scheme governance, where you'll be also submitting your rules online, where there will be a assessed and quality assured, and you'll get constant again feedback in terms of which phase your rules are at. And if you need to amend your rules, you'll get a notification to say, we've assessed your rules, and then these are the recommendations that you need to amend your rules. And then you amend your rules, you submit, you get your compliance certificate immediately after the scheme governance officer would have said your schemes are complying. You'd also receive a scheme registration certificate online, same day that your scheme registration documents were approved. You'd also get your adjudication order online as soon as the adjudicator has concluded the adjudication, as well as the conciliation process. As soon as the conciliation process is completed, you will get all the updates on time and online. So we're quite excited. There'll also be a public portal that will come with these modules. As I said, in terms of the registration module, you can log a query on the CSOS Connect that will come to us, and then we will respond.
Okay. We do see, I see quite a couple of questions saying that they have had problems uploading documents, loading of buildings. This will be great news in respect of rules and updates as they currently fall into the ether, I suppose, the sphere of the unknown for up to 6 months. Nicole, hi Nicole, she asks, is it also via CSOS Connect or a separate platform? The rules, I see. CSOS Connect.
Yeah. CSOS Connect, okay. But it's gonna be the development will be finalized in October, and then we will launch it. We'll communicate to yourselves, Marina, so that we can share with everybody who's online and the whole sector as a whole. We're gonna be launching it in November, and we do understand that with a new system comes a lot of hiccups and all that, but we are able to respond to the queries if we receive them. We're also able to visit the managing agent or to visit the scheme to help them step by step of registering on the CSOS Connect or offloading a document. So people, when the system is frustrating, they kindly can they just come to us. We'll definitely assist them with the system.
Well, I can confirm that that is true, Kedi. We had one of my largest managing agent clients had a big problem with the CSOS Connect system, and I think there were about 10 people from CSOS who came to the offices, sat there for at least 7 days and assisted. So I can confirm that what you say is correct. And we thank you guys for that. Really, the cooperation is excellent. I have to say that I've always found the people at management level at CSOS highly cooperative and really wanting to get things right. So we should take advantage of that, and we appreciate. Thank you very much. So I'd like to also ask you now, other technologies, any other usage of technology that CSOS is making use of? Anything else, or is that system the main thing at the moment?
For now, yeah, we've got externally, we've got the CSOS Connect, but internally we've got quite a number of systems. We have an electronic document management system that we are doing internally. We have some business automation processes that we are doing internally, our Sage, our training. Internally also, we're also trying to automate having some sort of a paperless environment as a CSOS, so that whatever we do outside to our stakeholders, also inside, we are able to ensure that we are also working efficiently. So.
Absolutely. Reynard says, when will the backlog be completely resolved? Trustees want to proceed to the courts again. So Reynard, I think the point here is that the courts are actually shifting everything through to the CSOS. And they're wanting the CSOS as the regulatory authority to deal with things. The one thing I can say is that where the courts are not shifting to the CSOS is when it comes to getting restraining orders. If you've been assaulted or if there's a problem, you can always go to court. You don't have to use the Section 39 at the CSOS. You could go to court to get binding over of the peace orders. There was a case that was quite recent about that. Can you tell us about any more trends that you're seeing at the CSOS? And are there plans to include other institutions or organizations as community schemes under the definition?
So for now, we are being guided by the CSOS Act in terms of what defines a scheme, wherever there's a shared land or shared building. So that's a scheme. And then the schemes, you know, they're outlined, your sectional titles, your share block companies, your HOAs, retired homes of retired persons, as well as your housing cooperatives. But in terms with our transformation initiatives that we are currently with, we've actually identified they are schemes, but they were maybe they're not sectionalized, or they were never actually regarded as schemes. You know, your public schemes, your municipal owned flats, your municipal owned public schemes, or your SHRA, your social housing schemes, institutions. So we are trying to work with the department in terms of also including the public schemes as the community schemes that will now enable the managing agents, the sector now.
Sorry,
also
Kedi, I don't know. I'm sorry, Kedi. I wasn't hearing you. Maybe it was my connection was unstable. Could you just repeat a little bit about what you said just now?
Okay, I was saying we are being guided by the CSOS Act in terms of what is a scheme and what are the types of the schemes that you got that one. So I was saying we have identified an angle that we are still exploring of public schemes. Your municipal owned flats, your SHRA owned schemes, I think they call them social housing. You know, they are schemes by nature. They are sharing land and they are sharing building. So we are exploring with the department and all the other involved entities in terms of registering those as schemes and CSOS so that we can train the body corporates and the trustees in terms of, if you are living in that flat and there are no rules, you know, whenever there are no rules, like nothing will work in that scheme. And the unfortunate part is that is government investment. It's government investment and there are no maintenance plans. So if we register them as schemes and we go and implement all the CSOS compliance requirements and enable now the sector to also go and manage those particular schemes, your managing agents that are managing private schemes are very well experienced and they can actually go and safeguard the investment that government has made in those schemes. But we are still exploring the best possible way of ensuring that those public schemes also enjoy the same benefits that the private schemes are enjoying. But we first need to identify how will the managing agents that will be managing those schemes can be paid, because they are in business after all.
We want to talk about a question that came up. I think it's important. The demographics of the trustees. I think it came up at the last CSOS conference. In other words, would they be putting in place legislation or anything to say that there needs to be X amount of previously disadvantaged people on a committee of trustees? I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
And come again, Marina?
So there was talk about BEE within your scheme. So in other words, on transformation, getting the BEE demographics in terms of trustees and committees. What is your view on that?
Okay, yes, we are actually in the process of developing a sector code for the community scheme, a triple BEE sector code that will look at about 5 elements: ownership, management control, skills development, implement equity, enterprise and supplier development process, socio-economic development processes. So about 6 elements will be in that sector code. So we do acknowledge, and we have said it up front to the Property Sector Charter Council, that we are a unique sector where it will be unfair if you measure a scheme on ownership, because they don't control who comes and reside at the scheme. It's of free will and choice to say, I want to stay in the scheme. We, however, Marina, want to put on record that we are aware that the schemes that are blocking other racial groups to come and reside in those schemes, but we can't take that one blanket and cover it. So in terms of the sector code that we are currently developing, ownership and management control will not be the elements that we'll be keen on, though it's still under serious discussions. Like we know in terms of management control, it's also voluntary to serve on a board. We cannot come and say, Marina incorporate, you are not having a black woman on your board. If that black woman did not want to sit on the board, there's nothing that everybody will do. If a disabled person does not want to sit on the board, there's not. So those two elements, they are still under a very intense, I must say, discussion. And then we have just met, as I said, to look at the draft. So we will be coming now to the sector to say, this is our sector code. We are all living in South Africa. We are all aware of what transpired in the past. We want to make sure that our sector, it shows the demographics of the country. So how best can we measure ourselves in terms of this? So we are coming to the sector to do another roundtable in terms of the finalization and the inputs that we will get from the sector on the BEE. But your other elements that looks at your supplier development, those ones, well, we know all the schemes have got a procurement plan. So those ones will be informing how each scheme will be measured or monitored in terms of compliance with that one. But just those 2 of the 6 elements are those that we need to agree, whether we take them out as a sector or we reinforce them to ensure that we, the other critical part in terms of management control, Marina, that I must share is that there are schemes where they don't, even the board, they don't want to allow anybody else coming in the board. The people who have been trusted for 10 years, they don't want to allow somebody to come in and be a trustee or be serve at the board. So though we know majority of the schemes, you choose where you want to stay in terms of ownership, you also volunteer to be on the board. But there are those 2 elements of schemes that don't want other racial groups to come and stay in that scheme, or schemes that are keeping the boards and the trustees to a certain group. So we need to discuss how best can we measure that. But yes, indeed, the sector code is coming and is currently under development.
Excellent. I think transformation has to be top of mind. I know that I attended at the CSOS and discussed these questions with you as well. And my rationale is very much that due to the voluntary nature, as you said, of these positions, I think it would be pushing the boundaries slightly if we implement it at that managerial type of level. But having said that, I agree that there should be some sort of mechanism to stop barring anybody from coming in as trustees. So it sounds patently sensible and reasonable what you put out there, and we're certainly behind you when it comes to procurement and getting people to do the work within schemes, also very important. For those of you who put onto the questions about where can we get this and where can we get that, the contact numbers, details of certain things, please, can you send me a message, marina@bbmlaw.co.za, and we'll put together a pack for you so that you can contact the right people. The acting chief ombud is Kedibone Phetla. I think you've got the name Precious there on your screen. That's obviously not you, but I will send out everything. And thank you so much, Nicole. That was very jacked of you to put that on board. Really appreciate the case is there as well. So we'll do that. One last thing, arrear levies, you can go to court at this stage. The courts are not kicking arrear levies out to the CSOS. Anyway, not yet. We're busy with a disconnection of electricity case as well, which is quite interesting. That's coming up on appeal. Kedi, I'll discuss that further with you when we do have time. Is there anything you can leave us with? What is exciting you about the Community Scheme Ombud Service at the moment? The thing that you're most enjoying, Kedi?
So at the moment, I must say, is realizing, it's actually observing how people are now realizing about the CSOS. They get to know about the CSOS. When I joined the CSOS in 2019, the board then used to say CSOS is a well-kept secret. So now we are out there, we are on TV, we are on radio on a monthly, weekly basis, we are out there. People are now realizing like, oh, I can actually be assisted here. I had an issue, I didn't know who can help me, but now I know that CSOS is there and they do come and then we do assist them. The other exciting area for me, you know, Marina, I'm leading the transformation strategy of the CSOS, is the transformation that we are seeing in terms of the sector. You know, we've got a panel of executive managing agents. Those are the people that would not have entered the sector if CSOS didn't have that panel. And we have that panel because the STSMA prescribed management rules actually allows us to have a panel so that when a scheme approaches us to appoint for them, an EMA, we call them, we are able to go into our database of the panel that we have and give the schemes the names and the CVs and the corporate plans, as well as the profile of that company, the scheme, then appoint that company. And we want to also leave the sector with comfort to say our EMAs are qualified. Our requirements to be an executive managing agent is that you need to have an NQF level 5. You need to have been registered with the PPRA and have an FFC certificate. We also need to know about the CSOS Act and the STSMA and all the other pieces of legislation that you need to be aware to manage community schemes. And we, in total for now, we have about 92 EMAs on our panel. And we're also pleased to say, Marina, that 42 of them are women EMAs. So we've opened the sector to previously disadvantaged individuals. We've also enabled women to also participate in the sector. And we're also pleased, some exciting news is that 10 of the EMAs on our panel are managing schemes, have been appointed by schemes to come and manage the schemes. And they've signed a code of conduct and they report to us on a quarterly basis, 3 months basis, in terms of how they're doing for managing their particular schemes. We also want to share that we signed 3 MOUs with the Trafalgar, Mid-City and Plato, where they are incubating our EMA. So on top of them coming with qualification, on top of them coming with the knowledge that they have, those that have never worked with a scheme, they are then incubated to learn on the job training, day-to-day training of running a scheme, what is expected of you, what is that you need to do, how to develop a budget, how to establish a board, how to develop rules. So we are pleased that we've got an incubation process that is working. And we're also developing a comprehensive framework for our EMAs. Because initially we started the EMA process with a minimal framework that was not comprehensive, but now we are developing a comprehensive framework that will say, what is an EMA? What are they expected to do? What is that they need to have before they become an EMA? And how we will monitor them as CSOS and what the sector expects from the EMAs coming into CSOS. So we are quite excited about that. The other experiment is the CSOS Connect, where we're promoting efficiency, and we wanna maybe on the EMA before we log off, Marina, just to say that our EMA, we had a meeting with the minister about 2 days ago, where she was saying our panel of EMAs, it does not reflect the demographics because there was no white woman on our panel. So we wanna our advert is out for EMAs. We are on the call out for designated groups previously disadvantaged. We know a white woman was also previously disadvantaged. So we are also on a call out to say, can they also please apply to be EMAs on our panel, so that when we look at our panel, it's a full representation of previously disadvantaged individuals.
That's heartening. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kedi. We appreciate that. And I appreciate being on this empowering journey with you. And we are with you. The CSOS has always been pretty close to my heart. And when the time comes to criticize, we're there to criticize, but we're also there to wholeheartedly support whatever you guys are doing going forward, as long as the theory and the reality match up. And I think everybody out there in the industry will soon let you know if things work and if they don't work. But again, you have our support. Thank you to everybody. And if you haven't had your questions answered, please don't hesitate to send me an email and we'll try to assist you. Good luck onwards and upwards for the CSOS. Thank you so much, Kedi. I know your time is valuable and you're very busy at the moment. So thank you, guys. And we will see you again next month, nearly going towards the end of the year. Take care and keep safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. Can I just ask that you also share with us the questions so that we can respond to them?
Certainly, will do. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.